to a new Harry's Garage video, and today's car is this MGB GT example you see behind me. This one dates from 1967 and it was a model that came out in 1965, and when I was growing up, MGB was the sports car you saw everywhere. The Roadster is the MGB, that came out in 62, and with the MGB GT, this coupe version, there were over 500,000 of these cars built in about an 18-year production run. But I wanted to get this one in because this is a particular special one. And I always thought the GT version of the MGB was a very elegant car. It was actually designed by Pininfarina, and it accounted for around 25% of all sales. There's about 125,000 of these GT versions, and they were priced quite well. I've dug out one of my magazines, 1968, and it has the GT version, coupe version here, listed at £1,176. That's just about precisely the half price of an E-Type Jaguar at the time. They were 2,200 and something, £250, I think they were. So, but this is a very rare model, this one. This is the LE. They did, the standard version had the 4-cylinder engine and didn't produce a lot of horsepower, that 95 horsepower, but obviously the most popular. They did an MGC with a 3-litre, 147 horsepower engine. And that was sort of the performance version, but it wasn't well light really, it was a very heavy unit. And they were working behind the scenes on this version, the LE. It was incredibly rare. They went really too far with it, and I can't find any reports on it. It was like a price on application, but it was quite a thing, and that's why I wanted to get in. So let's go and have a closer look at it. There were several versions of the GT during its long life. This is the early classic version, which you can tell by this chrome grille. It's probably my favourite of them all. Then BL bought MG, it came into that great big group, and they did a redesign, slight redesign, and it got a sort of black grille, and then round the side it got the Rostar wheels, and then the dreaded rubber bumpers came in. That was sort of mid-70s, and that was the American legislation that ruined lots of cars, the style of them. They did a reasonable job on the MGB GT, gave it a completely different look, and the ride height had to be higher, but you know, it was the same legislation that sort of the XJS had to conform to and things like that, but they're very different. Quite a few people remove them now and go back to this sort of classic look, but this being a 66 car, I think I said 67 before, that was a mistake, 66 car, this is the clean, really classic look of the GT. If you come round, you'll see it's also got wire wheels, solid wheels, or steel wheels were an option. These are an option, the wire wheels, it really sets it off. Very clean look on it as well, and of course, really quite early on, really, to have a hatchback. And it's really nicely trimmed out. There, great big luggage area. There is a storage area under here. You can put your spare wheel and things in. And this is actually a flip-up bench seat. So that was the idea. You had 2+2 seating in it. On this particular car, because it's a lightweight version, they took out the rear seat. So that's got a luggage compartment there. But really very nice looking car. Now you can tell this is the LE version because it's got the front air dam and also bigger disc brakes. It's got different calipers on the front and it's got disc brakes in the rear. Normal MGB GT had drum brakes at the rear, but these they put on the LEs, they put these disc brakes because it's got significantly more performance on this car, as we'll get to in a moment. You can't actually see it, but it's got really trick rear suspension on it. You can see this tie rod here. It's still a live axle at the rear, but the leaf springs have gone. Having that sort of performance, they needed to go and they needed more control over the rear axle. So it's actually got telescopic dampers all around. MGBs all had lever arm dampers, which were never very good, but they were cheap. And that's why they used them really, but not on this one. And it's actually the springs are actually on the damper itself now on this model. And tyres are 15-inch, so 185, 65, 15 tyres all round, same on all four corners. The GT really sold on its looks rather than its performance, and it was a very usable car. But secretly, down at MG Morris Garages in Abingdon, they wanted to do a very special version. And this was it, this LE. They really went to town on it. They didn't change the body at all. As you can see, this is all a steel body. They didn't put any aluminium panels on it or whatever. They just wanted to create this really high performance version of this car. Let's have a look at the engine. There was a twin cam version of the MGA. This is the twin cam engine, so still 4-cylinder, but it went up to 2 litres now. Really trick thing, high revving. They did a special steel crank for it, revved up to just over 7,000 RPM, tubular manifold, all the usual things. But they actually went to fuel injection, and at this time they were the only people doing fuel injection were like Mercedes and things. So this is a real departure, and I think it really caused a lot of problems in the 60s going to fuel injection. And they also managed to get the engine right back, so the weight distribution is really good. We actually weighed it while we had it in the garage, and it was properly light. It's 1,034 kilos, this car, and this engine puts out over 200 horsepower. It revs right round to about 7,500 RPM. So it's a pretty special thing. They quote a top speed of 160 miles an hour. So different to the standard version, and 5 point something to 60. I think it's 5.1 seconds to 60. About half the time the 95 horsepower 1800 standard version was. So it was a real flyer. So there you go. That's the LE's a quick walkabout. But as I say, today these are highly desirable. And I was looking in the folder that comes with this car. This car was recently sold by the hairpin company. And there's an invoice there for in 2014 where this car sold for £75,000. So what makes it so special? Well, I'm going to take it outside. As we know, we're all locked down because of the coronavirus, but on the farm here, we just have some private roads going up to the farm. So I'm going to take it out and show you what it's all about on the move. Oh, it's a step back in time getting into here. First of all, yeah, seat belts, no inertia seat belts in here. You have to use these proper old style seat belts. Got the same in the Alpha, and then this dash is sort of, yeah, I mean, it looks really nice. Sort of, it's black crackle finish and all the Smith dials. I mean, the only strange thing in this one being the LE, I've got a rev counter that, well, it's 9,000 at the extremities, red lined at just 7.8, I think it is, and 170 mile an hour speedo. Not what you would expect from an MGB, but they're safe. They really put some effort into this LE version. Start up like that. And there's already a Christmas to it that was missing from the standard MGB. Slight rattle. I think the engine mounts are quite solid on this. It's yeah, it's just different, really. An owner has put electric windows in this as an aftermarket thing, but yeah, all fairly primitive. A nice gear change here. It falls easy to hand. Quite a tight gate. But anyway, let's get a move on. So it's not going to be extensive drive because we've only got my front drive to deal with, but it's about a kilometre, so we should be all right. Now, short gearing. I'm into third immediately, so that's a bit of a lesson to it. I think that's half the reason why it could do that spectacular 0 to 60 time, beats previous. The MGB standard just doesn't want to rev. Its maximum power's at 5,500 RPM, but the engineers were very keen on this one. For what I've read about it, they wanted that higher rev limit to really stretch the gears and then put a lower gearing to help the performance. Right, I'm going to go down here, turn around, and then you'll join me on the way back up the drive. There's a bit more of a straight here, so let's see what happens if I give it a bit more revs. This is peculiar. That was 6,500. God, I've got brakes as well. This is unlike any other MGB I've ever driven. Nicely positioned pedals as well. Wow, very strange. And the steering's really quite light as well. I suppose it's all aluminium engine, so there's not much weight up front. But it's the way it revs. Told off by Mrs. Metcalf, so I'll go slightly sensible past the house. Yeah. Right, I'm going to turn around just do some conclusions to this mad car. On the downsides, where you can tell it's a bit of a competition engine, especially at tick over, it sort of vibrates through the car. I'm just going to slow down here because I'm going to give it a bit of a test up here actually. I want to see how fast it goes up my drive. So standing start from the start of the gate, let's see what she'll do. So a little squeak in the second. Slight bend here, so I want to give it flat out, and there we go, up this bit. Oh, that's quite quick. Yeah, that was about 80 miles an hour up there. That's a serious speed for an MGB. I think that will be a new record until I take something else out. So it's probably time to round up what I think of this very rare GT LE. Well, one, I'm astonished at its performance. I never thought I'd drive an MGB that went like this one. I'm really sorry that it didn't really see the light of day. Just a handful of collectors know about this car. Imagine if they'd gone racing with it, but I suppose the suits decided there was more money from being just make the standard MGB. It was, if you can sell 500,000 cars of the standard car, why make this crazy one, put it into full production? But anybody who's got an LE, no wonder they never come to the market, because who would expect? This is the wolf in sheep's clothing par excellence. I've really enjoyed my time of it, even though it's just up and down my drive, and I'm very grateful to Hairpin for letting me drive it. It's very well sorted. I can't get over that the brakes are really up to the job, the light steering, as I say, and on those scales it's a 50-50 handling balance, which, you know, spells well if we really were able to test it out on a more open testing roads. I think I'd enjoy it even more. But there's that temptation of 160 mile an hour top speed. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you have, please subscribe, please touch notifications, do all that sort of thing, because there'll be some more videos coming along very soon. Oh, you're still here. Well, you might realise that this isn't quite the most truthful video I've ever done. Check the date of publication, because this is actually this car. This is the MG LE50, made by Frontline. An amazing job. Used the Mazda engine, 2-litre engine, tweaked up to 212 horsepower, aluminium rad, etc. And you can see here who this car was built in 2014, and that was who it was commissioned for. A really nice thing. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video in these strange times. If you have, well, keep watching, keep subscribing, because there'll be more videos coming along very soon.